Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instruction on completing the task at hand. Visit my YouTube channel and watch my disclaimer video. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you find the information you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. I made mention a couple of weeks ago about replacing the coolant hoses in my car, especially when I did my coolant flush video. And I haven't got around to doing that yet. I'm just in the process of ordering my coolant hoses. And today, I was kind of surprised by me being fortunate enough to catch a leak. One of the #1 reasons that people lose their older cars is because of head gasket leaks, blown head gaskets, burnt valves, and accidents. But probably by far, blown head gaskets may be the #1 cause. And the reason that happens is people blow coolant hoses because they're still running coolant hoses that are nearly 20 years old. My car's 19 years old, and I doubt that all the coolant hoses was replaced. I recommend people replacing these hoses every 10 years just to stay way clear of having that kind of catastrophe happen to your motor. In this video, I'm going to replace the turbo coolant return line on my Volvo 850 turbo model. As with any time you replace a coolant hose in this system, because this system is pressurized, you want to make sure the engine is cooled down, I would say below 125 degrees. So if you can't put your hand on the motor or on any part of it and let it sit there, I wouldn't replace the coolant hose until it cools down at least a touch. Here are the tools I use to replace that line: long nose, curved needle nose pliers, 10 snips to cut the hose, screwdriver to help pry and get the new hose in position, 7mm 1/4" drive with the ratchet and the screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver to help guide the hose around the tube going toward the driver's side. You need your hose, preferably the proper one. I used a copper wire brush to clean the line off. Because I used a temporary hose, I used a tape measure to measure off 3 inches of hose, scissors, and I used those pliers to rock the hose back and forth as I worked it on to the piping. And you can also use that or the needle nose to get it off of the piping. You will also need some distilled water or coolant to top your system back off, depending on how much coolant you lose or lost during the leak. I was real fortunate and blessed today in that I came outside after eating lunch with my wife and found some coolant near my passenger front tire. When I popped my hood and was investigating what was going on, I noticed that my coolant reservoir was a little bit low on fluid. So when I started looking around for the leak, I found that there was coolant resting on the heat shield behind my motor, as there is some there now. That little wet spot right here in the corner is actually coolant from my coolant return hose right here that's leaking. Now that's a special hose, has a special lining in it because it's taking coolant from the turbo and returning it to the motor. But so I recommend that you order the special line that goes there. But for temporary purposes, because mine's leaking, I'm going to replace it with what appears to be maybe some fuel pressure line or some other kind of water coolant hose that I have. I found these 2 hoses in my box. This one says fuel, so I know it'll take the pressure, but it may not take the heat. So I'm not going to have that on there long, just long enough for me to get my coolant lines ordered, get them in, and get that replaced within the next couple of days. But it is a braided hose. Now, when I go into the passenger side of the car, that hose is a little hard to get to, and it's pretty stiff. And the gap between the 2 metal tubes that connect it are about, I'd say, a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inches apart. I replaced one of those on our S70. It's not an easy hose to replace because there's not a lot of space in between them to flex them. So I'm going to take those clamps off, slide the clamps to either side, and then I'm going to cut the hose off. And hope like heck these two hoses I have will fit it. Next thing I did was cut the hose there because it's almost impossible to get off without cutting it. Now I'm going to pull it off with some needle nose pliers after I break the seal loose from the hose being clamped on to the metal pipe for so long. Okay, I got the hose off. It came off in 3 pieces, and that's the clamp that was on it. This doesn't actually look like one of the OEM hoses because the proper hose has like a white sleeve in it, and you can see it when you order it off the websites like FCP or IPD or go to the dealer and get it. That may be why this hose is broken down so bad and split. May not be built for the temperature or the pressure. Here's a look at the area with the hose off. Let me go and get another view of it for you. Here's another view of the area that hose came off of. As you can see, the hose comes way over here, then it comes way over here, and there's not a big gap in between it. So it's kind of a awkward hose to put on, but you want to clean any old hose residue off the lines and then go ahead and put the new hose on in its place. I would slide it toward the pipe, over toward the passenger side first, and then fit the other side on going toward the driver's side toward the turbo. Looking at this hose I cut off of here, looks like it's about 3 1/4 inch long. I'm not sure if I could get that much back in there. When I look at the length from the pipe over to where the other pipe is, that's 2 1/4 inch, which means that there's almost a whole inch that has to be bent and tucked into that other tube. Not sure how easy that'll be, but I got to figure it out. And again, you want to clean off the metal piping from any old hoses so you can get a good seal when you put the clamps on the new hose. I'll clean those tubes off with a wire brush to make sure they're clean and smooth so that I can put the new hose on and not have any leakage. Okay, I decided to cut my hose 3 inches long. I slid it all the way to the this part of the pipe. Got it to tuck in on this part of the pipe. Had to use a screwdriver. Work my clamps on. Now I'm going to tighten my clamps down and that'll be it. I got this hose replaced. The really weird thing about replacing this hose is when I had the hose cut off, no coolant was leaking out of it at all unless I loosened the reservoir cap. So if you keep the reservoir cap tight, it will probably not leak while replacing that hose. Now that I'm done replacing that hose, I'm going to go ahead and remove this cap and top off my coolant with distilled water and GO5. If you got any questions, go ahead and post them. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.